Welcome to the channel and welcome to Mission 5 in the 9th edition Command Edition box set, which is called Counterattack and sees 10 Necron Warriors accompany a Necron Lord and some scarabs against the primaris captain and 5 assault intercessors. This mission also introduces more of the terrain, so we've got the cover that we used in the last one, and we've got this building here which is called the Thermo Exchanger Shrine, tongue twister, and then the pipes that we saw in the last round. Just like all the previous ones, it's going to be taking the things that we've learned before and adding a couple of new rules in there. The battle will take place turn by turn with the movement phase, shooting phase, charge phase, fight phase and morale phase all happening, and also introduces invulnerable saves now. These are basically saves that can't be taken below a certain amount. For example, the Overlord has a phase shifter which grants that model a 4-up invulnerable save. When using a model's invulnerable save, the saving throw is never modified by a weapon's AP. Got it. Okay, so yeah, basically he always has a 4-up if he wants to use it. Also, because we've got characters here accompanying some normal troops, there are rules surrounding that. So if a model has a character keyword, they basically, if they're within 3 inches of any unit that has 3 or more models, they can't be targeted. So basically they're hiding in amongst the meat shield or the metal shield in the case of these guys, so they can't be targeted. The Thermo Exchanger Shrine, this large bit of terrain in the middle, basically is an obstacle, and like the fuel pipes, the models you can't place models on top of it. Okay, it provides cover in the same way as the fuel pipes, and in addition, due to its dense structure, if a unit is targeted by a shooting attack while all of its models are at least partially hidden by the shrine, then the attacker must subtract 1 from the hit roll. For example, if a Necron Warrior with a ballistic skill of 3+ is shooting at an assault intercessor squad that is hidden by the shrine, and a 3 is rolled for the hit roll, when the attack fails to hit, as 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, so there's basically modifications to the hit rolls, which I think were in previous editions of 40k as well. In a style more similar to what you will normally see in a game of 40k, the players here, starting with a Necron player, take turns to deploy their units. So these are just given as a guide of sort of where you could put your units. And in actuality, you can put your units wherever you want within 5 inches of the edge of the battlefield. I've marked it out with dice here. That's a pretty clever way of doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy some units. Before we deploy, I'm going to look at the victory conditions for this, because this will basically inform where I'm going to be placing the units. The battle will last until either the primaris captain or the Overlord has been destroyed, in which case the player whose character is still alive at the end of the battle wins. Basically, we are playing Hunt the VIP, so if this Necron Lord dies, the Space Marines win, and if this guy dies, who looks up is a really nice model, really good. Anyway, then the Necrons win. So I'm going to be deploying accordingly. I've gone for pretty straightforward deployment here. With the Necrons, I've basically kept all units next to the Overlord here, just so that, you know, if something happens to either of those units, then he can basically hide in the mass of his buddies there, or his subordinates. And with the Space Marine, fairly similar. He's basically hiding behind the unit of the Space Marines in front. I think the Necrons are going to be more shooty, and so maybe hang back, and maybe the Space Marines are going to be trying to get in the faces a bit more. So let's see who goes first. Space Marines to go first, and to be honest, I'm going to just try and get them up here just to start hitting things. They get a few attacks. They're pretty good in close combat, those guys, as is the captain. So yeah, just going to go ahead and try and advance now. So they get their base move, which I believe is 5 inches, and I'll check that in a minute. Plus how many? Plus 4 inches. So that is, let me have a little look here. Oh, 6 inches plus 4. So they're going to get to move 10 inches. So if we do that now. I'll do that off camera. So looking at what 10 inches does, I'll basically have to -2 if I go over the pipe, because we've got to go up 1, down 1. So we basically got an 8-inch move for these guys. So what I might do is, one of the rules that we mentioned is that if you're basically obscured by the thing in the middle, then you get a cover save. Whoops, I've just moved it away. So if we look at 8 inches, he can basically get behind there. Let's put that back where it was, and so and then hopefully get cover from being shot at. So the Space Marines, the assault ones, have just basically hidden behind there in the hopes of basically getting a cover save next turn. We'll see how that goes. The captain up here is also going to advance, so he'll get 6 plus, whoops, 7. Okay, so that's not quite as good, because if he wants to go over that pipe, then that's not really going to work out that well, is it? So we have a look here. I might end up just putting him behind the guys there, just keeping him within a few inches, and then basically still hiding behind his guys, but unable to actually get up as far as them. Because the Space Marines all advanced, they actually don't get to do any shooting this turn, and so we're going to move on to the Necrons turn 1. As a Necron player now, I'm thinking that actually what I'm going to do is move these across to the right here to try and negate the line of sight blocking that the Space Marine try to do. So yeah, and with the scarabs, I think I'm going to move them around. They get a huge move, about 10 inches. I might actually just hover them here somewhere, just to kind of just to threaten the Space Marines, but not to be a good target. I'm not entirely sure yet. What the Necrons have basically done here is shifted over to the right to try and get some shooting to go down on those Space Marines over there. You can see the sense in that. I want to basically thin down those Space Marines before they actually get into combat. With the scarabs, I basically shuffle them to the right. So after movement, that's what we're looking like. That's what we are looking like for the end of movement with turn 1. Now we'll go on to the Necrons shooting. So 2 near the front have the Gauss Reaper weapon, which is a bit higher power than the Gauss Flare that the rest of them had. It's rapid fire 1 at 14-inch max range, and they aren't actually within half range now, so they're just going to get single shots. These guys are going to be hitting on 3s. Look at that for the first dice that we're rolling of the day. They both missed. Okay, cool. So now we move on to the rest of the guys. Let's see how many are within rapid fire range. So you don't actually get enough dice for how many we can shoot here. We can shoot with 16 shots. I've already done the rolling for that, and actually 12 of them hit. So we're going to do wound rolls. Have to do 12 wound rolls now. The weapon is strength 4, the Marines are toughness 4, so these are going to be wounding on 4 or more, and then we'll have to basically roll 2 extra ones to represent the 11 and 12, which we basically don't have the dice for now. So wounding on 4s. Okay, so let's take these extra 2. Okay, that's good. So here we go. These are basically the shots that have hit and wounded the Marines. The Gauss Flare has a -1 AP value. Space Marines normally get a 3 up, so Space Marines need a 4 up to save these wounds. And they've saved a lot of them, but they've taken 4 wounds. Each Marine has 2 wounds each, and so that means that 2 of these will be splattered. I'm actually going to move the ones that's sticking out, so that maybe if any more shooting happens, they will actually not be, well, they will hopefully get a hit modifier or something along those lines, just to help them a bit. So now we have the Overlord here who can shoot, and he has something called a Tachyon Arrow. This has a 128-inch range, assault 1, strength 12, which is huge, AP -5, and it does D6 damage. However, he can only shoot it once per battle. So now the question is, do I try and spend that on zapping a Space Marine, or do I save it for maybe when we've thinned the herd of Space Marines a bit? Or, you know, it's decision time. So, do you know what? I think I'm going to actually settle and be happy with that for this turn, for the Necron shooting. We're going to do a morale test for the Space Marines, because they lost 2, so we'll see how that goes. So the morale test for the Space Marines is D6, 6, plus 2, that they lost over there. And if we look at the leadership, they have the assault sergeant with them. His leadership is 8, and so they have passed. If they didn't have a sergeant with them, they would have actually failed that leadership test. So we could have then had a Space Marine running away, maybe more things happening. Who knows? Okay, so that's been a pretty successful turn 1, I think, for the Necrons. So let's move to Space Marine turn 2. Moving very aggressively, the Space Marines have basically moved up. The captain moved his -2 inches to get over that, and then 4 inches to move there. That's a 6-inch move. The other guys just shimmied around. And yeah, they basically just want to go and smash some Necrons. I feel like the more they hang around, the more they would have just got shot up. That was some pretty heavy shooting from the Necrons, actually. Heavier than I expected. And the Overlord hasn't even fired his crazy Tachyon Arrow. And the scarabs are just, hanging around, just waiting for some ankles to nibble. So yeah, let's do some shooting with the Space Marines. The units left have 2 heavy bolt pistols, and the sergeant at the front there with his helmet off, a little bit risky, has a plasma pistol. So yeah, they're just going to fire it all at the Necron Warriors. So straight off, we're going to have 2 shots with the heavy bolt pistols hitting on 3s. Both hit, only just. It's a strength 4 weapon. Those are toughness 4, I believe, the Necrons. Yes, they are. So that's going to be 4 ups to wound. Both of them wounded successfully. They have a -1 AP. Necrons have a 4-up save normally. So Necrons are looking at a 5-up save. Wow, look at that. Some doubles getting rolled tonight. Okay, that's cool. So they totally survived that. The sergeant is going to not overcharge his plasma pistol. He's just going to do his 1 shot, hitting on a 3. Gets it. The strength is 7, the toughness is 4, so wounding on a 3. Wow, failed to wound. Probably one of the strongest, line weapons in the game. Failed to wound. Oh well, that's the way it goes sometimes. Let's see if the captain has any guns. Yes, he's got a heavy bolt pistol, which he can shoot 1 shot, hitting on a 2. And he's only just hit, wounds on a 4. Fails to wound. Wow. Basically, only the normal Space Marines were actually able to make a wound. So then we go on to a bit of hand-to-hand combat. So I am going to charge. First off with the normal guys. They probably would need a 3 to get into combat. A 2. Oops. Yeah, we'll say that's like a 2 to get into combat for him. It's a bit misleading, the depth. You can move it close to the camera and it looks bigger. Okay, so let's roll for charging. Yeah, that's comfortably getting them in. So I'm going to move them in. The Space Marines are well into combat. So next we got the captain here. He's a bit further away. How many inches is that going to be? That's what, like 4? So he needs a 4 inches. 4 on 2d6 to get into combat. Let's go. And he's actually failed. Wow, so that's the risk of charging, and the risk of getting into a position or a not very good position to charge in. So because that's a failed charge, that means that he's actually what's the word, in the open now and could be shot at. What the Space Marines did do when they moved in was actually went within what's the word, within combat range of the Overlord here, basically engaging him. So that means he can't shoot the Tachyon Arrow off unless he moves out of combat this turn and then shoots it next turn. And the scarabs are there by themselves as well. This is quite interesting. So okay, they've also been engaged by the charging Space Marines. So yeah, it's getting real messy here. So shooting didn't do much. Let's move on to the combat with the Space Marines attacking first. So the sergeant with the chainsword gets 4 attacks and the other guys get 3 each. They've all got the same strength and everything, so I'm just going to roll them all together. So these are going to be hitting on 3s, hitting the Necrons. That's pretty successful rolling. Cool. And then these are going to be wounding on... Whoops. These are going to be wounding on 4s. Again, quite successful rolling there. And they have a -1 AP, I believe. Yeah, so this is 5-up saves for the Necron Warriors. Wow, so 3 of them are dead. So we're going to take those guys from the back here. Next, the Necrons get the hit. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Necron Warriors going to hit the Space Marines. So I think they just get 1 attack each. Yes, they do. So let's get that ready. There's 6 dice there, 1 there. Let's get them out of the way. These are going to be hitting on 4s. Actually, no, they're going to be hitting on 3s. Wow, really good hitting. They're strength 4, the Marines are toughness 4. These are going to be wounding on 4s. Uh-oh, there's going to be some dead Space Marines, I think. They don't have any AP value because they don't have any special, what's the word? Close combat weapons. So 3 up saves for the Space Marines. And they all successfully save. I probably should have done before is actually the pile-in move for these scarabs. So I'm just going to move them up now. Because, you know, I'm just playing against myself here. And if I was playing with friends, I'm sure they would let me do that as well. So yeah, I'm going to do now the attack with the Overlord. So this guy is an absolute beast. So let's find out what he gets. His hyperphase glaive there does a lot of damage, but he doesn't get a huge amount of attacks. He only gets 3. So I am going to roll 2 ups here to hit. All succeed. It gives him +2 strength, so he's wounding Space Marines on 3s. 1 of them failed. It's got a -3 AP, which is pretty huge. So the Space Marine players need to make 6s to save. They failed. Each of these hits does D3 wounds. So basically a 1 and a 2 is 1, 3 and a 4 is 2, and a 5 and a 6 is 3. Sounds really complicated, but it's actually quite simple. So let's do them one at a time. So that's 2 wounds, so that's 1 dead Space Marine. And that's 3 wounds. That's another dead Space Marine. So we're basically just... this is bad news for the Space Marines. So they have been splattered. Put them in the dead pile over there. And we're just left with this sergeant left, who is going to get nibbled on the ankles by some scarabs. These destroyed one of those fancy new bikes, by the way. I think in the last one or the second last one. So these have done stuff, which is pretty cool. I'm always surprised how many attacks these swarms get, although I shouldn't be. There's a lot of little mouths in there. They get 4 attacks each, and they hit on 4s, which is actually pretty good. Oh, not that rolling. Okay, and their strength is 3, toughness of the Space Marines 4, so they're wounding on a 5. And they all failed. There you go. No nibbling bikes down this time. Cool, so... that is the end of the Space Marine turn. Now we're going to move on to the Necron turn. In fact, before we do that, let's do a morale test for the Necrons, even though... I'll explain in a second. So D6 plus the number of models who died is 3 plus 3 is 6. Leadership of Necrons is 10. So basically they have passed that. I mean, it seems like Necrons are basically very difficult to make fail leadership tests, but I thought I'd do it just anyway. It's also an impossibility for the sergeant here with his leadership of 8 to fail, having lost 2 friends. You know, if I roll a 5 plus 2 is 7, yeah, he's passed. Even if I rolled a 6, he would have passed. That's why I just skipped that bit. So for the Necron turn, I'm actually going to do something a little bit odd, I think, but I'm kind of curious what will happen. If we do it, because I feel like if we just stay how we are doing this combat, that Space Marine is going to get blattered, and then everyone's going to pile on the Space Marine and probably blat him. So I want to make things a bit more interesting. What actually I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go out of combat with my Overlord and with my Necrons, let the Scarabs hopefully finish him off, and then I want us to do some shooting. I basically want this guy to use his Tachyon Arrow on him over there. So we will see how that goes. So I'm basically going to pull all these guys back by their move. That'll hopefully make it harder for him to charge us if that Space Marine gets splattered. So yeah, interesting times. Let's see what happens. So for narrative reasons, I'm going to say that disengagement happened because this guy needed to do he's needing to do diagnostic checks on his Tachyon Arrow. Yeah, they hasn't tested it out. He's just coming straight off the production line. And he needs to test it out. He was sent here with the objective of, validating its usefulness. And if he stays in combat, that might not happen. So he's making it happen, and these guys are following suit, and those guys are basically cleaning up so that, you know, the calibration can happen with the Tachyon Arrow against him over there. So yeah, let's see if those scarabs can get rid of that Space Marine. So true 40k nature, armor saved the day, and he lost 1 wound and has 1 wound left. He also hit back, and the scarabs have 1 wound left as well. So sorry, one of the scarab models has 1 wound left. So now that was the end of turn 2. Let's move on to turn 3 with the Space Marines. So what's going to happen with the Space Marines? This guy's going to stay here, and you know, hopefully, you know, tar pit the tar pit. Units like this are often used just to slow down advancing mobs and things, and maybe he's going to turn it on their heads. Good luck, brave soul over there. So this guy is actually going to ignore the melee and is going to do his 6-inch move in order to try and get all the way to charge these guys. So a second attempt to charge them for the captain. So he's moved up. Let's see what he needs to roll on the charge. Actually, he can do shooting first, can't he? But he'll need to roll 4 inches. Was that right? 4 inches on the charge? Yeah, cool. So he's going to shoot his pistol first. And you know what? He's going to shoot at... Actually, he won't be able to shoot them. Because of the character's rule, I think. Yeah, he won't be able to shoot them. So he's going to shoot the unit of Necrons. He hits on a 2. Cool. Wounds on a 4 wounds. Has it got a -1 AP? Yes, it does. So they get a 5 up. Necrons. Here, we're going to splat a Necron. Yeah, nice one. So he actually managed just to pick one off. It's the most he's done all battle so far. Yeah, so now he's going to try and charge. That's the end of shooting, just for the record. So now he needs to get 4. I think that's what he needed last time. Let's see what happens. Finally he gets in. Okay, so 8 inches, and he's going to charge them, and he may even move up here to try and get that guy in if he could. Is that 8 inches? Let's find out. So he was able to get there actually with about an inch to spare, to be honest. I think that he can do this and engage the guy who wants to do the testing in combat. Let me know in the comments if that's incorrect, and I think that he'll be able to attack the Overlord. I think that's what he's going to do, just to try and get rid of the main threat, basically the Necrons pose, and also to deny him doing his diagnostic checks. First off, we're going to have our sergeant over here with the Gribblies. He's going to be hitting on 3s. Okay, wounding on 3s. In fact, splatting on 3s. Only 1 wound. Okay, but at least, you know. At least that's better than nothing. So yeah, one of those has gone. Have they got a high leadership? Yes, they do. Okay, so that's not going to be a leadership test either. Oops. Okay, so now we're going to have the Space Marine captain hitting the Overlord here. All 5 attacks with his sword are going to be hitting on 2s. So let's see what happens there. Okay, we've got 1 miss. His strength is 4, but his sword gives him +1, so he's strength 5. The Overlord is toughness 5 also. Okay, so that sword's not as good as I expected. Okay, so wounding on 4s. One of them gets through. It does have a -3 AP. The Overlord has a 3-up save, so -5 is... sorry, -3. He'd have to roll a 6. But he also has a phase shifter, which is his 4-up invulnerable. So I think obviously we're going to go use the 4-up invulnerable save. And that fails, okay. So the sword that the primaris captain has actually does 2 damage per wound that gets through. So the Overlord had 5 wounds and is now down to 3 wounds. Okay, so that was pretty effective from the Space Marine. But now the Overlord is going to hit back. So 3 attacks for the Overlord. He's going to be hitting on 2s. Wow, they've all gone through. His strength is 5, pretty strong, and he gets +2 strength of 7, so he's going to be wounding on 3s. Wow, he's pretty good in combat, this guy, isn't he? That weapon has a -3 AP. The Space Marine Captain has a 3-up, and yeah, Okay, that becomes a 6. Okay, so it looks like the Relic Shield has some special rules where if you get mortal wounds, you can ignore them on a 4-up. These aren't mortal wounds, these are just normal wounds, and so I think I'm understanding it correctly that he's just got a 6-up saves here. Wow, look at that. That's really good from there for the Space Marine Captain. So the Hyperphase Glaive does D3 wounds, so as we said before, oops, sorry, that's gone, D3 wounds. So he loses 1 wound. Primaris Captain starts on 6 wounds. Wow, he's an absolute beast. So now he's down to 5. Necron Warriors are going to hit back. So what is it? If someone's within half an inch of someone who's half an inch, they get the fight. So I think basically only 2 of them are going to get the fight there. So 2 attacks, they hit on 3s because they're better than you'd think in combat. Terminator style. 2 of them there. Primaris Captain's toughness 4, their strength 4, so wounding on 4s. Wow, pretty good. And then the Primaris Captain gets a 3-up, which fails. Wow, they've taken a wound off him. Okay, whoops. So 4 wounds left. There we go. And that is the end of the Space Marines turn. What was it? 2. No, turn 3. Okay, so now we're on to the Necron turn 3. The Necrons have identified this guy as a threat to the diagnostic checks that they want to do, and so have basically just sent all the Necron Warriors in. Just take him down. The normal Warriors did manage to just take a wound off him, so that was unexpected, I'll be honest. And meanwhile over here we got the little ankle ticklers trying to tickle ankles. So yeah, we'll see how that combat goes out as well. So these guys get 4 attacks each, the scarabs. Let's see what happens here. So using my turn counter and the wound counters, running out of dice here. So next time you put the box together, give them more dice, guys. So 4 wounds hitting on 4s. Oops, is it 4s? Let me check. For the yeah, hitting on 4s. So 2 of them haven't hit. We'll give the next guy his 4 attacks, hitting on 4s. Quite a few hit. They are, what is it, strength 3, yeah? Yes, so wounding on 5s. Wow, look at that. Pretty good rolling. So yeah, the Space Marine now needs to make 3 3-up saves, otherwise he's a splat. Wow, these dice loaded or what? That's pretty good. So yeah, Space Marine done. Getting attacked. Now he's going to hit back. Hit on 3s. All hit. Nice. Wounding on 3s. Or splatting wounds on 3s. And there we go. That's 3 wounds off. So one of them is down to a wound. And I am down to 5 dice to roll with. I'm going to soften him up with the Necron Warriors first. I'm going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks. So one of these will get re-rolled because I haven't got enough dice. So hitting on 3s. Re-rolling this one. Whoop. They all hit. He's a toughness 4. They are a strength 4. Wounding on 4s. Wow, if they kill him, I'll be a little bit disappointed. He's got 4 wounds left. So Space Marine Captain now needs to do his 3-ups. And he fails 1 of them. Wow, so he's now down to 3 wounds. Let's see what happens when the Overlord hits him. They're both down 3 wounds now. So 3 attacks hitting on 2s, sorry. 1 of them misses. Wounding on 3s. They successfully do it. It's minus 3 AP, so the Space Marine Captain has to do 6s here to save. Neither of them do. And that Hyperphase Glaive does D3 wounds each. So this could be the end of him. He's got 3 wounds left. So the first wound does 2 wounds, and this one basically it can only do a minimum of 1. It does 2 wounds. So he would have lost 4 wounds there. He has actually lost his last 3 wounds. And the Hyperphase Glaive gets rid of the Necron Captain. And that is the end of the mission. But you know, this guy here I don't have high hopes for. I'm not going to continue doing that. Maybe the Necrons will just see him off, and then maybe something unexpected will happen. So something unexpected has happened. This combat is still going on over here. Yeah, they've moved along a bit, but you know, the relationship continues to flourish. But over here, a brave Necron warrior has offered to give his life, or his data, whatever, in order to let the Overlord test his Tachyon Arrow. Let's see what happens. So once per battle, he gets to fire his Tachyon Arrow. It's he's got a good ballistic skill of 2 up. Let's see if he hits that lowly Necron over there. 2 up. Succeeds. The Tachyon Arrow has a strength of 12. This little guy over here has a strength of 4. That's more than double, so he's going to wound on a 2. Diagnostics complete. It failed to wound your friend. So that was mission 5 with a little bonus thing at the end there. I quite enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching it too. Next up we have mission 6, Final Confrontation, which is basically a big old everything's in there. The bikes are in there, the Scorpex destroyers are in there. Yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and all that if you do. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching Peacetime Painting.